Have you ever wondered what happens in those first quiet moments after death? Not what doctors see, not what machines record, but what your soul begins to perceive when the body falls silent. My dear friend, death is not the darkness many imagine. It is a passage, gentle yet profound, where the noise of the world fades and a deeper truth begins to reveal itself. In those first minutes, the soul awakens to realities it could only sense faintly while still bound to the body. Today, I want to walk with you through this sacred mystery, not to frighten you, but to prepare your heart and calm your spirit. Stay with me until the end, because the final reflection may change the way you live your life right now, long before that moment arrives. 1. The soul becomes aware it is no longer bound to the body. My dear friend, in the first quiet moments after death, the soul begins to realize something extraordinary. It is no longer confined to the fragile limits of the body. The pain that once demanded attention, the breath that struggled, the weight that pressed upon the chest, all of it gently falls away. There is no violence in this awakening, no sudden chaos, but rather a deep stillness, as if a long journey has finally paused. The soul does not feel lost, it feels released. It understands, without words, that it is no longer governed by flesh, fatigue, or fear. This awareness arrives softly, like dawn breaking after a long night. What once felt heavy now feels light. What once hurt now feels quiet. And in this stillness, the soul begins to sense that life has not ended, but changed its form. Many imagine that this realization brings fear, yet for most souls it brings calm. The body was a home, but it was also a limitation. In these first moments, the soul recognizes that it can exist without effort, without struggle. There is no need to breathe, no need to hold oneself together. Existence becomes effortless. This is not because the soul becomes powerful, but because it returns to its natural state, the way God intended it to be, before pain and weakness entered the human story. The soul does not celebrate wildly, it rests. It rests in the awareness that suffering no longer commands it. The soul also becomes aware that time no longer moves the same way. There is no rushing, no waiting, no anxiety about what comes next. Everything feels present. Memories do not overwhelm, and worries do not chase one another. Instead, there is clarity, a gentle sense of being fully awake for the first time. The soul understands that it is no longer measured by clocks, schedules, or deadlines. This realization alone brings peace, because much of human suffering comes from the pressure of time. In freedom from time, the soul breathes in a way it never could while bound to the body. In these moments, the soul notices that its senses are different. It does not see with eyes or hear with ears, yet it perceives more clearly than ever before. Awareness becomes deeper, more honest. There is no confusion about where it is. The soul knows it has crossed a threshold, and that knowledge is gentle, not frightening. God does not shock the soul into eternity. He leads it with mercy. The transition is not a fall into darkness, but a step into understanding. The soul also recognizes that it is no longer defined by appearance, age, or illness. It is not young or old. It is not strong or weak. It simply is. This realization removes comparison and shame instantly. All the judgments carried in life lose their meaning. The soul understands that its true identity was never the body, never the roles it played, never the labels it carried. It was always something deeper, something loved into existence by God. There is often a moment of gentle surprise. The soul realizes that death did not erase consciousness. It did not bring emptiness. Instead, it brought awareness without pain. This surprises the soul not with fear, but with relief. The soul senses that what people feared most was never death itself, but suffering, and now suffering has ended. The soul rests in that truth. In this freedom from the body, the soul becomes more aware of its own interior life. Thoughts are no longer scattered. Emotions are no longer tangled. There is a simplicity, a unity within the soul. It understands itself more clearly than it ever did in life. There is no hiding from oneself, but there is also no condemnation. Truth appears without cruelty. The soul also becomes aware that it is not alone. Even before understanding everything, it senses presence, not pressure, not judgment, but presence. This awareness does not come through words, but through peace. God does not announce himself loudly. His nearness is felt as safety. The soul recognizes that it is being held, guided, accompanied. This awareness prepares the soul for what comes next. It is not rushed forward. It is allowed to adjust, to rest, to awaken fully. God respects the soul's journey. Eternity is not forced upon it. It is revealed gradually, with patience and love. And so, my dear friend, the soul's first realization after death is not fear, but freedom, not loss, but release, not darkness, but a gentle opening into a deeper life. 2. The soul sees truth without distraction. My dear friend, once the soul is no longer bound to the body, another gentle awakening begins. The noise that filled life slowly fades away. There are no more urgent demands, no competing thoughts, no constant pull of worries and desires. In this stillness, the soul begins to see truth clearly, not through judgment, but through honesty. What was once hidden beneath routine, fear, pride, or distraction becomes visible with simplicity. There is no accusation in this seeing, only understanding. The soul recognizes what truly mattered and what only seemed important. This clarity does not come with harshness, it comes with calm acceptance. God does not shout truth at the soul. He allows it to appear naturally, like light filling a room when the curtains are gently opened. In earthly life, my dear friend, the soul is constantly interrupted. Responsibilities, expectations, noise, and pain blur perception. Even sincere people struggle to see themselves clearly because survival often demands distraction. After death, these layers fall away. The soul sees its life as a whole, not as scattered moments. It understands connections it could not recognize before. Small choices reveal their meaning. Simple acts of kindness shine quietly. Neglected moments gently reveal their weight. There is no denial in this vision, but there is also no cruelty. Truth appears without masks. The soul does not see truth through memory alone, but through understanding. It sees not only what it did, but why it did it. Fear is recognized as fear. Love is recognized as love. Intention becomes clear. The soul understands itself without self-deception for the first time. This clarity is not punishment. It is illumination. God allows the soul to finally understand its own story with compassion rather than confusion. In these moments, excuses no longer matter. The soul does not defend itself because there is nothing to prove. Comparison disappears completely. The soul is not measured against others, but gently confronted with its own truth. This freedom from comparison brings peace. Much of human suffering comes from trying to appear better than we are. In eternity, appearance dissolves. Only reality remains, and reality is received in mercy. The soul also sees how deeply love shaped life. Words spoken in patience carry more weight than achievements. Forgiveness offered quietly shines brighter than success. The soul recognizes that love was never wasted, even when it went unnoticed on earth. At the same time, love withheld is seen without anger, but with clarity. The soul understands where fear prevented generosity, where pride blocked humility. This seeing is honest, but it does not crush the soul. It invites healing. Without distraction, the soul understands how often it lived externally while neglecting its interior life. Silence reveals missed opportunities for prayer, reflection, and trust. Yet even here, God does not condemn. He reveals truth so the soul may be healed, not humiliated. Truth becomes medicine, not a weapon. The soul also sees how suffering shaped it. Pain that once felt meaningless now reveals its hidden lessons. Endurance becomes visible, growth becomes clear. The soul understands that God was present even when he felt absent. This realization brings deep peace, because it reconciles the soul with its own past. In this clarity, regrets appear, but they are not sharp. They are gentle invitations toward mercy. The soul does not drown in sorrow, it understands it. Truth without distraction does not destroy hope. It prepares the soul to receive grace more fully. The soul also sees how prayer mattered. Even weak prayers carried strength. Even distracted prayers reached God. Nothing sincere was lost. This realization fills the soul with humility and gratitude. And so, my dear friend, when the soul sees truth without distraction, it does not encounter terror, but clarity, not condemnation, but understanding. It finally sees life as God always saw it, with truth wrapped in mercy. 3. The soul feels the presence of love or distance from it. My dear friend, after the soul awakens to freedom and truth, it begins to feel something deeper still, the presence of love, or the edge of distance from it. This is not felt as fear, but as awareness. Love is not seen with eyes, nor measured by words. It is known inwardly, the way warmth is known on the skin. The soul understands, without explanation, whether it lived close to love or turned away from it. This awareness does not accuse, it reveals. Love draws the soul toward peace, while the absence of love creates a longing that asks to be healed. The soul feels God not as an image, but as reality itself. When love was embraced in life, God's presence feels familiar, like returning home after a long journey. There is no surprise, only recognition. The soul senses that it was always being guided, always being invited closer. This closeness does not overwhelm, it comforts. It reassures the soul that it is known completely and still received with tenderness. For souls that struggle to love, the experience is different, but not cruel. They do not feel rejected, they feel unfinished. There is a gentle awareness that something essential was resisted or delayed. This distance is not punishment, it is truth. God does not force love. He allows the soul to feel what it chose. Even then, mercy remains present, quietly offering healing. The soul understands that love was never merely emotion. It was action, patience, forgiveness, and sacrifice. In this new awareness, love reveals its true weight. Moments of compassion shine with clarity. Times of indifference appear softly, without accusation. The soul recognizes where love was difficult and where it was avoided. This recognition brings humility, not despair. There is a profound difference between fear and distance. Fear belongs to the imagination of the living. Distance belongs to the honesty of the soul. Distance is felt as longing, as a desire to move closer to the source of peace. This longing itself is grace. It means the soul still desires love, still reaches toward it. The soul also feels the love that others offered. Prayer spoken, kindness given, forgiveness extended, all of it is felt now with depth. Love offered on earth does not fade. It follows the soul beyond death. This is why no act of love is small. Even forgotten gestures echo eternally. For souls surrounded by prayer, there is comfort. Love surrounds them like a quiet shelter. For souls lacking that support, there is awareness of need, not abandonment. God remains attentive, mercy remains active. The soul understands that love connects everything. Separation from love feels like separation from life itself. Yet even this distance is not permanent. God's mercy does not withdraw, it waits patiently. In this awareness, the soul sees that love was the true measure of life. Not success, not recognition, not strength. Only love mattered. The soul feels gratitude for moments when it chose love despite fear. It also feels sorrow where love was withheld. This sorrow is gentle. It invites healing. God does not overwhelm the soul with judgment. He allows it to feel truth through love's presence or absence. This experience teaches the soul that love was always the path home. Even distance carries hope, because longing leads toward mercy. The soul realizes that love never stopped reaching for it. In this awareness, peace begins to grow. And so, my dear friend, the soul's encounter with love after death is not terror, but truth, a truth shaped entirely by mercy. My dear friend, as the soul continues to awaken in this new reality, it becomes even more sensitive to the quality of love it carried during earthly life. Love now feels expansive, no longer limited by time, mood, or circumstance. The soul understands that every act of love was a movement toward God, even when it did not recognize it at the time. Love given quietly, without applause or recognition, now reveals its true depth. The soul sees that these moments were never wasted. They were seeds planted for eternity. This realization brings a gentle joy, not loud or overwhelming, but steady and warm, like a flame that never flickers. For the soul that often withheld love out of fear or pride, there is a different awareness. It recognizes the moments when love was possible but avoided. This awareness does not accuse. It invites reflection. The soul understands that fear often disguises itself as wisdom, and self-protection often replaces generosity. Seeing this truth is painful, but not destructive. Pain here is not punishment. It is clarity preparing the soul for healing. The soul also perceives that love was not always easy, and God never expected perfection. What mattered was the direction of the heart. Even imperfect love, offered with sincerity, carried great weight. The soul understands that struggle itself had value. Effort mattered. Intention mattered. God looked not for flawless love, but for willing hearts. This realization brings relief, especially to souls burdened by self-judgment during life. There is also a new understanding of forgiveness. The soul sees how forgiveness freed it, even when it felt unfair or incomplete. Consider the moments when forgiving cost tears and silence. These moments now shine with quiet power. The soul realizes that forgiveness was never about excusing harm, but about refusing to carry hatred into eternity. This truth brings deep peace. The soul feels the absence of love not as emptiness, but as a call. It senses that where love was missing, healing is still possible. God does not abandon the soul to its lack. He invites it to grow. Distance becomes a teacher, not a sentence. Mercy remains close, waiting patiently for openness. The soul also becomes aware of love it rejected from others, times when kindness was offered but refused, help extended but dismissed. This awareness awakens humility. The soul understands that pride sometimes blocked grace. Seeing this truth softens resistance and opens the heart. Love now feels unified. There is no division between loving God and loving others. The soul understands that every sincere act of love toward another person was also an act of love toward God. This unity brings clarity. Faith and love were never separate paths. The soul feels gratitude for the people who loved it well, even imperfectly. Parents, friends, strangers, their love now appears as a gift that carried the soul further than it realized. The soul understands that it was never alone, even when it felt forgotten. The soul also feels sorrow for those it wounded, not a crushing sorrow, but a sober recognition. This sorrow desires reconciliation, not escape. It prepares the soul for deeper healing. Love now feels like truth itself. There is no confusion between emotion and commitment. Love is known as self-giving. This understanding changes everything. The soul recognizes that love required courage. Every time love was chosen over comfort, something eternal was formed. These moments now stand tall in the soul's awareness. Distance from love feels like unfinished work, not failure. The soul understands it is still becoming what God intended. Hope grows in this realization. Even distance is not final. God's love remains constant, patient, and inviting. The soul senses that love is the only path forward. And so, my dear friend, the soul continues its journey, guided not by fear, but by love, calling it ever closer to mercy and peace. 4. The soul recognizes the power of prayer and love. My dear friend, as the soul settles into this new awareness beyond the body, it begins to recognize something deeply moving. Prayer and love did not end at death, they followed. What once seemed like simple words whispered in weakness now reveal their true strength. The soul understands that every prayer offered in sincerity created a bridge that reached far beyond the limits of earthly life. No prayer was lost. No loving thought vanished into silence. Each one arrived, gently and faithfully, carrying comfort, light, and strength. The soul realizes that while the body could no longer hear voices, the soul was never deaf to love. Prayer became presence, love became companionship. This realization fills the soul with gratitude and humility because it understands that it was supported more than it ever knew. The soul recognizes prayer not as a demand made to God, but as a relationship lived with Him. In life, prayer often felt distracted, rushed, or weak. Now the soul sees that even imperfect prayers were received with care. God listened not to eloquence, but to intention. Tears spoken without words were heard. Silent sighs reached heaven. The soul understands that prayer was never about changing God's will, but about opening the heart to His mercy. This truth brings deep peace. Love, too, reveals its power. Acts of kindness, once forgotten by the world, now shine with quiet strength. A visit made out of compassion, a hand held in silence, a forgiveness offered despite pain, these moments appear now as treasures. The soul understands that love carried weight far beyond what was visible. What seemed small on earth became significant in eternity. Nothing done in love was insignificant. The soul also becomes aware of prayers it never knew were offered. Friends, family, even strangers prayed quietly, without announcement. These prayers formed a gentle protection around the soul. The soul feels surrounded, not exposed. It understands that it was never alone, even during moments of despair when it felt abandoned. This realization softens past wounds and fills the soul with gratitude. There is also an awareness of prayers the soul itself offered for others. These prayers did not disappear when the body died. They continued to live. The soul understands that intercession was a form of love that crossed time. Prayer created bonds that death could not break. This realization brings joy because the soul sees how love multiplied through prayer. The soul recognizes that prayer shaped its interior life more than external circumstances ever could. Moments of trust in suffering strengthened the soul quietly. Prayer formed endurance. Prayer formed humility. Even unanswered prayers carried grace, preparing the soul for deeper surrender. This understanding transforms past disappointment into peace. The soul also becomes aware that love expressed through prayer was never limited by distance. Those prayed for across cities, years, or silence were still reached. The soul understands that love travels where the body cannot. This truth brings reassurance to those who feared they had not done enough. The soul feels the prayers offered after death as well. Love does not stop when the body rests. Prayers spoken by the living reach the soul with clarity. These prayers feel like warmth, like encouragement, like gentle guidance. The soul understands now why prayer for the departed matters so deeply. The soul recognizes that prayer purified love. It removed selfishness, softened pride, and healed resentment. Love that was prayed over became stronger, freer, and more sincere. This understanding brings humility and gratitude. There is also a realization that prayer sustained faith when understanding failed. During moments of doubt, prayer kept the soul connected even when certainty was absent. The soul understands that faith survived not because of clarity, but because of perseverance. The soul recognizes that love expressed without words was also prayer. Presence, patience, and silent compassion were prayers lived rather than spoken. God received them fully. The soul understands that prayer shaped eternity quietly. without spectacle. It worked invisibly, faithfully, and patiently. Love and prayer together formed the soul's deepest strength. They prepared the soul more than achievements or recognition ever could. The soul now rests in gratitude for every prayer offered and every act of love received. And so, my dear friend, the soul recognizes at last that prayer and love were never weak gestures. They were the strongest forces guiding it safely toward God. My dear friend, as this awareness deepens, the soul begins to understand that prayer was never a last resort, but a constant companion walking quietly beside it throughout life. Many prayers seemed unanswered, delayed, or misunderstood while the body lived. Now the soul sees that those prayers were shaping it from within, teaching patience, trust, and surrender. What felt like silence was not absence, it was formation. God was not ignoring the soul, He was preparing it. This realization removes long-held confusion and replaces it with peace. The soul also recognizes that love, expressed through sacrifice, carried a unique power. Moments when love required effort, discomfort, or loss now reveal their true value. Giving time when tired, listening when exhausted, forgiving when wounded, these acts were prayers lived in flesh. The soul understands that love costs something, and because it costs something, it carried eternal weight. Nothing given with sincerity was wasted. There is a gentle awareness of how prayer protected the soul during unseen dangers. Times when the soul was spared despair, temptation, or destruction now appear as moments guarded by prayer. Some prayers were offered by others, some by the soul itself, and some by hearts the soul never met. God allowed this network of prayer to surround the soul quietly. This realization brings deep humility. The soul also becomes aware that prayer did not change events as much as it changed the heart. Circumstances may have remained difficult, but prayer shaped how the soul endured them. It formed resilience, it softened bitterness, it preserved hope. The soul sees that prayer kept it from becoming hardened by suffering. Love spoken through prayer also healed relationships in ways unseen. Even when reconciliation did not happen outwardly, prayer softened inner resistance. The soul understands that peace was often achieved internally before it was visible externally. This brings comfort, especially regarding relationships that never fully healed on earth. The soul recognizes that prayer carried it when faith felt weak. When belief wavered, prayer still flowed. When understanding failed, prayer remained. God honored perseverance more than certainty. This realization lifts the burden of self-judgment the soul carried in life. There is also awareness of how prayer shaped the soul's capacity to love. Prayer widened the heart. It taught compassion for weakness, patience with imperfection, and mercy towards self and others. The soul understands that prayer did not remove flaws. It taught how to live with them gently. The soul feels gratitude for prayers offered in childhood, long before it understood their meaning. These early prayers formed a foundation that carried it through later storms. Nothing prayed in innocence was lost. The soul also sees that prayer connected generations. Prayers of parents, grandparents, and ancestors continued to echo. Love was inherited not only through blood, but through intercession. This awareness brings a sense of belonging that transcends time. Love expressed in prayer now feels unified. There is no separation between loving God and loving others. Prayer made love intentional, and love made prayer real. The soul recognizes that prayer taught it to let go. Surrender was learned slowly, through repeated acts of trust. Letting go prepared the soul for this very moment. Prayer also taught the soul how to wait without despair. Waiting formed hope quietly. Love, strengthened by prayer, became the soul's language. The soul now rests in the truth that prayer never failed it. It carried the soul further than it could see. And so, my dear friend, the soul continues its journey surrounded by the undeniable power of prayer and love, finally understanding that they were the strongest companions it ever had. 5. The soul understands that life was preparation. My dear friend, As the soul gathers together all it has seen and felt, a final understanding begins to settle gently within it. Earthly life was never random, never meaningless, never an accident. It was preparation. Every season, every joy, every wound, every delay was shaping the soul for this encounter with eternity. What once seemed disconnected now forms a quiet coherence. The soul understands that life was not merely something to endure or survive, but something to learn from. Even moments that felt wasted now reveal hidden purpose. God was not testing the soul harshly. He was forming it patiently, like clay shaped by careful hands. The soul recognizes that preparation did not mean perfection. It was not about flawless choices or constant certainty. It was about direction. The heart that kept turning back toward love, even after failure, was being prepared. The soul understands that God never demanded errorless living, but honest striving. This realization brings relief. The soul sees that weakness did not disqualify it. Resistance to love did. Life's difficulties now appear as teachers rather than punishments. Illness taught humility, loss taught compassion, waiting taught trust. The soul understands that without these lessons, it would not have learned how to depend on God. Preparation often came disguised as suffering, and this truth transforms old pain into wisdom. The soul also sees that preparation happened quietly, in ordinary moments. Simple faithfulness mattered more than dramatic acts. Daily patience, unnoticed kindness, repeated forgiveness, these were the exercises of the soul. God was preparing eternity through everyday choices. The soul understands that relationships were classrooms. Every person encountered shaped something within it. Even difficult people revealed areas that needed healing. Love learned in struggle was stronger than love learned in comfort. The soul realizes that prayer was preparation. Every prayer stretched the heart toward heaven. Even distracted prayers trained the soul to turn toward God rather than away. Prayer prepared the soul to recognize God's presence now. Time itself was a teacher. The passing of years softened pride and deepened understanding. Aging was not loss, but refinement. The soul sees now that slowing down helped it listen more closely. The soul understands that forgiveness was preparation for mercy. Each time it forgave, it practiced the language of heaven. Forgiveness shaped the soul's capacity to receive peace. The soul recognizes that hope prepared it to trust beyond sight. Believing without certainty trained it to walk in faith. This trust now feels natural, not forced. Failures are seen differently now. They were not endpoints, but lessons. The soul learned humility through falling and rising again. God valued repentance more than success. The soul sees that love was the central preparation. Everything else served it. Love made the soul ready to enter eternity without fear. The soul understands that death itself was not interruption, but completion. Life's preparation has reached its purpose. There is gratitude for every moment that formed the soul, even the painful ones. The soul rests in the truth that nothing was wasted. God's patience shaped everything. And so, my dear friend, the soul understands at last. Life was preparation, and love was its lesson. My dear friend, as this understanding deepens, the soul begins to see that preparation was not something that happened only in moments of clarity, but also in moments of confusion. Times when the soul did not understand God's will, when prayers felt unanswered and paths seemed blocked, were not empty pauses. They were lessons in trust. The soul now realizes that learning to walk without certainty trained it to rely on God rather than on control. What once felt like abandonment is now recognized as invitation, an invitation to surrender and to grow. The soul also understands that preparation happened through responsibility, caring for others, carrying burdens, remaining faithful when leaving would have been easier. These were exercises of love. Duty shaped the soul's strength quietly. The soul sees now that responsibility was never meant to imprison it, but to stretch its capacity to give. Through service, the soul learned to step beyond itself. and that movement prepared it for eternity. Preparation also took place through limits. The body weakened, energy faded, dreams changed. At the time, these losses felt painful and unfair. Now the soul understands that limits taught humility and acceptance. Letting go of what could no longer be held prepared the soul to release the body itself. Nothing was accidental. Even decline carried wisdom. The soul recognizes that disappointments refine desire. When certain hopes were not fulfilled, the soul was gently redirected toward deeper longing. Earthly satisfaction was never meant to be complete. The soul was being trained to desire what does not fade. This redirection now feels merciful rather than cruel. The soul also sees that silence prepared it. Moments without answers, without affirmation, without understanding taught it to listen more deeply. Silence formed attentiveness. In silence, the soul learned to recognize God's presence without signs. Preparation happened through relationships that ended. Goodbyes taught the soul how to detach without losing love. Separation trained the heart to release without bitterness. These lessons now make the final separation from the body less frightening. The soul understands that mistakes also prepared it. Each fall revealed weakness. Each repentance shaped humility. God did not waste failure. He used it to teach mercy. The soul sees now that grace grew strongest where pride broke. Preparation occurred through waiting. Long seasons of patience taught endurance. Waiting shaped hope that did not depend on immediate results. This hope now sustains the soul beyond time. The soul also recognizes that joy prepared it. Moments of laughter, beauty, and peace were glimpses of eternity. Joy trained the soul to recognize goodness and to trust that God delights in giving life. Preparation was reinforced through gratitude. Each moment of thanksgiving expanded the soul's capacity to receive. Gratitude taught the soul to see gifts rather than absence. The soul understands that suffering without bitterness refined love. The soul sees that aging itself was preparation. Slowing down helped the heart loosen its grip on the world. Wisdom replaced urgency. Preparation was never rushed. God worked patiently. The soul now rests in the coherence of its life story. Everything had meaning. And so, my dear friend, the soul understands fully now. Every step of life was shaping it for this moment of peace, trust, and eternal belonging. My dear friend, thinking about death is not meant to fill you with fear, but with wisdom. The soul's first moments after death reflect how we lived while we were still here. That is why today matters. Forgive while you can. Love while time allows. Pray while your voice still rises from this world. Live in such a way that when your soul opens its eyes beyond the body, it recognizes peace instead of regret. May God grant you a life that prepares your soul gently for eternity. And when that moment comes, may you pass not in fear, but in trust, carried by love into the arms of mercy and hope.